Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me today. It's great to be here, right? Google Cloud Next, 5 p.m. We're excited. Awesome. I'm excited, too, and that's because I'm joined by Kristen Waters and Josh Smith. We're going to be talking new features. It's exciting. And specifically, we're going to be talking about collaboration. All right. So let's get things started here. I like to get started anytime I think about a really hard problem like collaboration. I like to start with some data. Companies that encourage collaboration are 5 times as likely to be high performing. That's from a study by the Institute for Corporate Productivity. So why is that? Well, collaborative companies have teams that work together more efficiently. So they can work on big projects that involve massive teams, or multiple organizations. At collaborative companies, people find the right information at the right time because they know where to look, who to ask, and they have the right tools to get access to the information they need right now, not a week from now. And last, at collaborative companies, the work they create benefits from the collective knowledge they've created over years of experience running their business. If you think about your business, you've probably created expertise around the best way to operate or the fundamental problems in your field. And there's nothing worse than rethinking through a problem that someone's already solved 10 times over. And so taken all together, this collaboration is the difference between your business being a leader in its field or falling behind. So on the Drive team, we know this is super important. And we've taken the biggest problem here, which is collaborating on content, and taken it as our mission to solve. So today, working on content is too hard. Have we all had this problem? The where's my content problem? Is it on my computer or your computer? In the content repository that I can't quite figure out how to use, or in the cloud, or on-prem, or H:, or J:? You never know where to look. And let's say you do find the right file. Do you have access? Because many of these legacy tools are siloed so that only the specific team can access that information. And if that's the case, you might be waiting weeks to get access. That's no bargain. So let's say you get access. Is it even the right version of the file? Because if you're collaborating with email attachments, you just have to trust that you have the latest thread that has the latest message with the latest attachment. That's no bargain because it could be on your computer, another computer, in one thread or another. And then when you send that final document to the customer, you could end up sending something that needs revision. No bargain. So these problems are pretty serious. And on Drive, we feel like there's a better way. With Drive, first and foremost, we make sure you can work your way with the tools you're used to, avoiding change management costs, picking up a whole new set of tools. We also help your teams work together more efficiently with smart, simple collaboration that is built for the enterprise. And finally, you stand on the shoulder of giants, we help you work smarter with Google Intelligence that helps you stay both informed and focused as you focus on the work that matters most. So across these 3 areas of focus, we're going to be talking about 15 features. That's right, 15 features that help you collaborate. This is a smartphone moment. I'm going to give you a few seconds. Take the picture. Awesome. 15 features to help you collaborate. Let's get started. You want to go back? One more? Okay, 15 features. We'll take the questions later, thanks. I know, lots of questions here. So let's get started with seamless interoperability. All right. What does working with Office files look like today? Well, I talked about this a little bit earlier, but emailing attachments is a huge pain. You send over the quarterly report, it's in draft. You send over the final version, but then, oops, you get that last-minute round of edits, and it becomes final v2, final v3, final v-final. It's no bargain. And with these disparate versions, you might think, file locking. That's the answer. My on-prem file storage solves this. But no, we've all had that experience of almost walking into a meeting and realizing, oh, I need to change the name of the customer we're pitching to, otherwise we're going to be in trouble. But if that file is locked, there's no way. You're going to have to make a copy, and then we're back to the where's the latest version? Is it your machine, my machine problem? This is not a bargain. In contrast, working with Office files in Drive is amazing. That same Office file can be accessed in Word. You can comment on it in real time with Google Drive from your phone or laptop. And you can edit that same file in real time with Google Docs. One seamless experience with across any tool you want to use with a single file. That's the power of Drive. So when we think about interoperability with Office files, the first thing we think about is Drive File Stream. Drive File Stream brings Google Drive to the desktop in a way that's really intuitive. Let me paint you a picture. Let's say before you move onto the cloud, you have a file storage server that is accessed over a network, and it's mounted at j:\\. On Friday, you're accessing your files at j:\. Maybe over the weekend, something's going to change. You're going to move to Google Drive. Your admin uses G Suite Migrate and installs Drive File Stream. When you come in on Monday, all that same content is still accessible at j:\. with Drive File Stream. Drive File Stream also uses hardly any disk space, so you can access terabytes of files streamed to your computer without filling up your hard drive. Now that's great, but sometimes you need your content offline, and that works too. You can mark any file or folder available offline so you can access it on that pesky airplane or on site at some factory that doesn't have good connection. You can always have access to your files. So this is Drive File Stream. We announced this last year. But there is one thing we heard over and over again from customers. If we're going to be storing data offline, we need to make sure it's secure. That's why, starting today, we are going to integrate Drive File Stream with the Google Device Management Console. With device management, you can view sync details, like the last time it synced, how much data is available offline. You can limit Drive File Stream to only work on those corporate devices that you've pre-whitelisted. And you can set up approval processes so that when you have a new bring your own device come online, you install Drive File Stream, and you need approval before it'll work. That's great. And then if you lose a device, it's lost or stolen, someone leaves the company, you can block or wipe a device with a single click. This happens within seconds. We just did a demo earlier today, and I got to see it on stage. It was amazing. It happens literally within seconds. It's so quick. I love it. So this is security built in, by default, enabled for everyone in Drive File Stream starting today. Yeah, awesome, right? I love that. OK, last thing on Drive File Stream, the other big thing we heard from customers is, what about server OSs? Well, we got that too. Starting today, Drive File Stream will work on Windows Server starting 2012 and up. This is supporting your desktop virtualization use case. So say you have a Chromebook, and you want to be able to access Windows for that one pesky application you haven't moved off of Windows yet. You can run a virtual desktop, run Drive File Stream, get all your files, and don't worry about those version conflicts. It's great. The next step is ensuring that that file locking problem is solved in a 21st century way. That's why we introduced Drive File Stream last year, and I'm pleased to tell you that it's generally available. With real-time presence, instead of locking someone out of a file, you can see who's editing. So if I hop in that file 2 minutes before the meeting and I see that my coworker is in that file, I can know, well, he's probably just making the next version of it. I need to make this edit now and choose to make that edit. You're not locked out. It's great. And if you're offline or you create a collision, we're going to help you resolve that as well. So unlike any other tool, we'll show you a side-by-side comparison, let you save the latest version after merging the changes, and get a single file. So no matter what happens, you can collaboratively ensure that you're editing the same Office file without getting locked out. That's real-time presence. So on the theme of integrating with Office, we also integrate with Microsoft Outlook. And this launched last week. You can now save attachments from your emails to Drive right from Outlook. You can save attachments. I just showed you attaching from Drive, excuse me. And you can ensure that when you send an email, you have the right permissions and that the person you're sending the file to always has access. We're now making it so that Outlook is of the same caliber as Gmail when it comes to our integration with Drive. because we know that integrating with Microsoft, Excel, PowerPoint, and Outlook is critical for these interoperability scenarios. Awesome. So this is, again, available starting today. Yeah. Woo! Some Outlook fans. I use Gmail, but Outlook, it's great. So after you get off of your legacy tools and you start to move into a mobile-first, cloud-first model, the first thing you'll run into is being able to work with your legacy files from anywhere. So that's why in Drive, we let you comment on Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and PDFs, and many more file types right from Drive. This works on mobile and on the web. You can anchor comments to specific text. You can assign action items. It works just like Google Docs. And this is great. But we go one step further, because with Drive commenting, we'll actually integrate that comment into the file itself and synchronize the two. So you can comment in Word, see that comment in Google, reply in Google, see the reply in Word, etc. So all that commenting doesn't matter. It doesn't care what tools you use. It should just work. And we announced that last year. Really exciting. And just in case you forgot, that works on hundreds of file types. I just put a few up here, but the 4 in the center are the file types that support comments natively within them. And so for those file types, we'll integrate the comments in. For the other ones, you can still anchor text on images. I love this. You can drag a rectangle and say, hey, this part of the image needs to be updated or fixed. Really powerful. So we talked about working with Office on a traditional desktop. Talked about commenting anywhere with Drive. But now let's head into the future with real-time commenting and editing with Google Docs. So this might look familiar, right? Opening an Office file in Google Docs. We've had this for a couple years, but it's been a little hard to use. It might have required an extension. It might have required managing multiple files. But starting this week, you can now edit Office files in Google Docs with a single file, just like it should work. Yeah, this is huge. This is huge. So as you can see here, all you do is you right-click, open with Google Docs, and you get that .docx badge in the top left corner, and you get all the features of Google Docs. So you can see the changes from Office users with history. So all those changes show up in a list, like you'd imagine. You can also edit in real time, collaboratively, and access all the machine intelligence features of Docs Explorer. This is incredibly powerful. We're bringing this revolutionary technology to a decades-old format, and we're letting you access it. It's rolling out next week. I'm so excited for you to get your hands on it. It's really great. So hopefully you haven't heard me say interoperability too many times, but the bottom line is that with Drive, you get to work your way. Because we interoperate with all of your existing tools, we make Microsoft with Google better than Microsoft with Microsoft by integrating this real-time and machine intelligence functionality that we're known for with these legacy tools. Awesome. So I'm going to pass things off to Kristen to talk about collaboration.
All right. Thanks, guys. Nice to see you. I'm Kristen Waters, product manager on Drive. And I am going to take you through how to work efficiently in Drive. So I'm going to focus really on our core collaboration flows, including all those new features that you saw on the first slide that we have in store for you. So our core experience is really all about enabling your users to work efficiently together. We keep it simple for your end users, and our systems ensure that each collaboration is safe and secure. So let's dive in. So I want to bring you guys all in and guide you and your users to work more efficiently in Drive. We're going to focus on some tips and tricks, and we're going to focus on 3 areas of importance. 1, organizing and sharing in team drives, which is our content storage platform that is built from the ground up for the enterprise. We announced that 2 years ago at Next. Also, how to best collaborate with users outside of your organization. You're working with a lot of vendors, contractors, and we're going to go through the best ways to do that. And how to ensure that you and your end users are sharing securely. All right, so I'm going to start off with our North Star experience. We have a lot of features that we're going to go through here, past, present, future. I'm going to tie it all together in a demo for you guys. So let's do it live. Let's go over to demo 1 here. OK, cool. So here we are on screen, and I want to introduce you guys to Sydney Taylor. She works at a company called Acme. It's a manufacturing company, and she's focused on healthcare manufacturing. So what Sydney's going to do is she's going to organize and clean up all of her content, and then she's going to make sure that the right people have access. So let's dive in and start. We're going to focus here. She's got to zero in on her new healthcare manufacturing launch that's coming up. So she's going to go in here to her Acme manufacturing team drive. And she really wants to reference a piece of content into the Acme Health team drive. So we'll go through here, and we're going to make a shortcut. This is new functionality. GA this year. We'll dive in into some slides a little bit later. OK, so I've got my picker. I'm going to put it in a team drive. I'd like to put it here in Acme Health. Let's go ahead and add, and you see that the shortcut's added. Boom. There it is. We've got a shortcut reference from Acme Manufacturing in Acme Health. That file, all right. So that's shortcuts in Drive. And now that file lives, and its permissions are inherited from Acme Manufacturing, so you can reference it in many different team drives. This is great. So here we are in Acme Health, and look at this long list of team drives. She's got a launch coming up, and she's really got to focus. So what we're going to do, we're going to tidy up, keep only the team drives that spark joy. All right. And here we go. We now have the option to hide these team drives. This is new functionality. So boom, those team drives are now hidden. As you can see here, we can reference them in our hidden team drives panel. Back to team drives, and look at how clean this list of team drives is now. So only the team drives that are relevant to you and that you're using at this moment are in your list here. And that's going to be GA rolling out this next week. We'll dive into that a little bit more in the slides. And so, OK, we've organized, we've tidied up here. Now let's make sure that everyone has the right permissions. So we'll go in here to Acme Health. And I'm going to share a file with VJ, my production manager. VJ does not have a Google account, right? So this is simple and easy. OK, we can change the permissions for VJ. Everything is as normal, and VJ does not have a Google account. OK, we're sharing outside the org. This is fine. Share goes through as usual. What's happening on VJ's end is he gets the share email, he clicks in, he goes through a lightweight PIN code verification flow, and he's able to comment, edit, view anything on that Google Doc like a typical Google user. So we're going to go through all of that functionality, and this is in active beta right now. OK, so we've shared to one of our contractors and vendors. Now we've got a folder here in our team drive. So we want to go ahead and share the folder. We can share here. OK, and yeah, that's an exciting one. It sure is. OK, so we want to share to a group here. That's how we manage our healthcare. Acme. All right, we can change these permissions if we want. We can add a note. We'll go ahead and send. Great. And so now our group has permissions to the team drive. We didn't or to the folder in the team drive. We didn't necessarily have to add them to the membership. And lastly, we Sydney's going to do a big presentation later on for this healthcare manufacturing launch. And she wants to make sure that users in her organization have access to her comms. So she's going to share a file. Now we're going to click here on the link. And you're going to see some new options here. So we have customized link sharing options here within the domain. We have our admin recommended. You can share to the sales team, to the marketing team, to engineering. Sydney actually wants these comms to go out to all full-time employees, so she's going to go ahead and pick her admin recommended. We'll go ahead and give comments access there. So that's our new customized link sharing, and I'm going to dive into some details on timing with that one later. And I want to call out that this sharing dialog probably does not look very familiar to you guys. We are going to be releasing a complete rehaul of our sharing dialog, complete redesign, and I'll go into some more detail there, but here's you're seeing it live, separated out, sharing with people, getting the link. Fantastic experience here. Okay, so now, click done. Sydney's all done. She's tidied up the team drives. She's shared all the content. And now we can switch back to the slides and dive into when you guys are going to get these things, which I'm sure is the question on everyone's mind. Okay, so organizing and sharing in team drives. Let's focus on that first. So again, pleased to announce that hiding team drives is generally available end of this week, rolling out next. Some tips and tricks there, as you saw, in multi-select. It's the best way to go in and really clean everything up. You probably want to advise your users to do that. And you can right-click with one click and hide. Next, we have search by creator, which is generally available today. So using the creator operator, you can find files that are located in a team drive. So I don't know if you guys have ever had this problem, but you're trying to find a file. You can't for the life of you remember the document title, but you remember who you're collaborating with. So the creator operator solves this problem. All you do is type in creator : and then the username, and it's going to return all the files located in a team drive that user has created. And a little tip here, you can actually also search creator : me and find all the files that you've created in a team drive. And that's generally available today. Okay, and the shortcuts you guys saw me go through in our North Star experience when I was referencing from manufacturing to healthcare, that's going to be generally available this year. Shortcuts are incredibly important to users, and you've probably been getting some of this feedback as you've been using team drives. You know, right now, a file can only live in one team drive. It inherits those permissions. So before shortcuts, you know, those weekly status notes that your team is always referencing, they can only be located in one place. And you may not want to give everyone access on the team to that file. And after the launch of shortcuts, you can create a pointer to that document in as many team drives as you'd like. So it's a great organizational tool that makes team drives much more flexible. Okay, and then lastly, but not least, we have folder sharing in team drives. Everyone's get those cameras up. So I just want to take a moment here and pause and say that this feature really matters to the team at Google. It matters to customers, and we realize how critical this functionality is, whether you're migrating files into team drives or whether you're starting afresh. So right now, our timeline still is directional. This functionality is gated behind our next gen of infrastructure. It's to make sure that we're delivering a fast, dependable, reliable experience in team drives. We have a huge team working on this with dozens of our drive engineers on the case. So rest assured that this is the highest priority across all of team drives, and we're working on it diligently. once we launch this next generation of infrastructure, it's going to unlock some benefits for you as users as well. So it's going to unlock the ability to have greater visibility into files in a team drive, folders in a team drive, and also a fast and reliable system performance. So I'll also be up front here if you have any questions or additional feedback on that feature. All right, so now let's dive into collaborating externally. More and more frequently, we need to collaborate across organizational boundaries with vendors, with contractors, with partners. And I'm pleased to say that our PIN-verified visitor sharing feature solves that need. So you can collaborate across boundaries securely and easily. And this is in active beta right now, so it's out in the wild. You know, before visitor sharing, you might have had to publicly link share, which might not meet your security needs for your organization. Your partners may have had to create consumer Google accounts just so that they could access and collaborate on the file, or you could send along these temporary view-only documents. So these options are, you know, at best inconvenient and at worst just not meeting the security needs of your organization. So now you can input any user into the sharing dialog, and they'll get the share email, like I said, just go through a lightweight PIN code flow, and there they are. In the document, they can edit, comment, view. Just a few notes on the feature. They'll just need to redo the PIN code flow every 7 days. And if you want to remove them from the document, you go into the sharing dialog, like any other user, remove, and save. So this has been quoted as a game changer for our customers, and I'm very, very pleased to share progress here in active beta. So most of you in the crowd probably manage users in your organization, and sharing securely is top of mind. I'm going to take you through a few sharing features for a simple and secure user experience. So first off, our sharing dialog redesign. This is directional for this year. And as you saw in our North Star experience, we are completely redesigning the dialog from the ground up. It's been a passion project of ours, and I'm beyond excited to announce this today. Sometimes the best security is good UX design. So we're excited to share this with you today. A few things that we've really focused on here in the dialog is really separating out sharing to people and sharing with a link. We want to make sure that copying a link and turning on a link are two very separate actions. You'll notice that the dialog is the same for team drives and my drive. And it's very easy to understand who has access to a file, what link sharing options are turned on. And that information is not hidden behind a click. So we've tested this new dialog extensively with users, and it significantly exceeds what we've got today, and we've seen high confidence ratings from users, so it's just really great to see that data coming back. And this redesign will be rolling out in our G Suite Alpha and Beta bundle program in 2019. Next, we have custom link sharing. This is directional timeline right now. You know, how often do your users really need to publish a document to the entire organization? Most of the time, not often. If you want marketing to share only with marketing, if you want engineering to share only with engineering, you can limit the scope of link sharing to make sure it's fitting your security needs. Directional. And lastly, we have advanced data loss protection in Drive. So we've been working closely with our DLP team, and we're expanding the consequences of DLP in Drive. So if you go into your admin console and you set up a rule in Drive that's looking for the word confidential, it's scanning for that word confidential. And if it's found, what's going to happen is the rule will trigger and block all downloading, copying, and printing on that document. So it really allows you to put some more guardrails on your content and your data, and I'm pleased to announce that today, directional for this year. Okay, so in summary, we talked about organizing and sharing in team drives. We focused on collaborating externally and sharing securely. And now I'm going to turn it over to Josh Smith, product manager.
All right. Hey, everybody. How's it going? My name's Josh Smith. That's me in there. When you work in Google Cloud, that's actually business casual. So we take it very literally. Very excited to share with you the progress that we've made so far. Let me just log in here for the demo that's upcoming. So I'm going to talk to you about how we can help you stay informed and focused and why it matters. And overall, the impact that we think we're having and that the data is indicating is helping you work smarter. So what's the issue that's happening? What's the problem that we're addressing? Well, people are spending more and more time on mundane tasks. And I think we can all feel that in our daily lives at work. One example is people spend 8 hours a week searching for and consolidating information. And when you sum it all up, you take all the overhead, the work around work, people spend up to 50% of their week just getting ready to work. That's a big problem. The nature of work's changing, but it's changing in the wrong direction for a lot of us. So why is that happening? Well, increasingly, we have this flood of information that's coming at us. But our focus quickly turns into distraction. There's too many people, too many apps, and projects all vying for our attention. And what's the result? You feel overwhelmed, you can't focus, and as a repercussion, you have this really high cognitive switching cost between tasks. It takes 20 or 30 minutes on average to get from one task to the other. And you would think, the benefit of this is, well, at least I have all that context. I'm situationally aware now. But the truth is, you end up distracted and uninformed. And there's a real tension there because the important information gets drowned out by the noise. We've all had that moment in a meeting. Somebody goes, hey, have you read the attachment? And it's the attachment you didn't know was sitting unread in your inbox. And that's problematic for you and the organization. So going a layer deeper, why is this happening? Well, there's a lot of reasons, but I want to call your attention to two. The first one, there's a cognitive tipping point. In many cases, our bandwidth as individuals is being outrun by the sheer speed, the breadth, and depth of data and information that's flowing at us. The second one, well, then you say, well, hey, out there's a ton of technology and tools and resources. They should be able to solve my problems for me. Why aren't they? Well, the truth is, a lot of those tools were developed in the 1990s and architected for on-prem environments. They weren't designed with the cloud in mind. And who incurs that cost? Well, you incur that cost with your time, and your organization incurs that cost on their bottom line. So as your most valuable asset, your organization's information's lying dormant, we're feeling distracted, uninformed, and it's a challenging situation that means if we keep operating this way, we're going to wake up tomorrow further and further behind. But what if we could do something about this? What if we could take that flow of information that's overwhelming us, mix it up, and turn it into something that's powerful, prioritized, easy to digest, and helps you focus on the things that matter? Well, we're really happy to announce that in the last 2 weeks, we completed rolling out our new priority page to GA. All right. This priority page uses a number of powerful machine learning models to do two really important things. One is take the content that needs your attention and put it in front of you. The other is let you focus on just the limited number of files you actually need each week. How many files do you think you actually really give attention to each week? Well, we did the math. And so most people only use maybe 10 to 20 files in a given week. It's kind of an alarming statistic, right? We have access to thousands of documents, and yet you use 10 or 20. And what do we do today? To get to those 10 or 20, we dig through the thousands that we have. Priority lets you avoid that by bringing those to the surface when you need them, the files that need your attention. And the results have been really outstanding on this, and we're going to go through a demo, but I want to talk about the impact. So already, Priority saves 50% of the time you would have otherwise spent finding your files. That sounds, 50% is good. It's 10% on the 10 seconds on the average find, the average moment where you go to access and find content. On the long tail, when you spend 4 minutes trying to remember what was that word in that document from 2 years ago? Maybe what file type was it? Nah, I can't think of it. Maybe I'll just chat my colleague and ask him if they still have it. It ends up adding up to 20 years of work and time saved every single day across our user base. So, in that spirit, let's do it live. Okay, so here we are in Jeff's profile. Jeff just came back from lunch. I think most of us probably go to lunch at some point. He comes back to lunch. So this first priority suggested card, right across the top, we have these priority cards. He comes back from lunch. Here, there's this core pitch he was working on before lunch. And we understand that he was editing it recently. It might be the file that he needs right now, right? So underneath the surface here is a variety of powerful machine learning models that are looking at the activity that's occurring on content you care about and surfacing when you need it. This one was a little bit of an easier one. You just accessed it before lunch. You came back. Great. There it is. Let's go to the second one. Well, it's 1:15 p.m. Jeff has a meeting coming up with Rich. He was so heads down in his presentation, he forgot about it. And attached to that meeting is this proposal for this account, The Great Outdoors. So Jeff can open it from here and easily access and be prepared for that meeting, making sure he's more productive and the organization is as well. At the same time, he's going to meet Rich pretty soon, and in this third card, we see that Rich had just left him a comment on another summary doc for the same account. Now we can go into that meeting and answer Rich quickly and easily that, yeah, I saw your comment, I respond to it, it was really helpful, thanks for the nudge. So that's one part of it. This top row will suggest files and content you need intelligently, and so far the data indicates very successfully. Across all of our testing, one of our overwhelming top feedbacks is that users have just loved this. The amount of time that's saved them has been immense. So one part of it is, okay, what's the content I need? This is here at the top of priority. Always surfacing and calculating and making sure that you have the content that makes sense to you. But another part of it is, well, if I only need 10 or 20 files this month, this week, let's give you a way to collect those files in a way that's meaningful to you, and that's workspaces. Workspace is a new concept in Drive that lets you collect files the way that makes sense for you. Here you can see that Jeff has created one workspace on whiteboard strategy session. Let me zoom out a little more, see if I can. Perfect. He's added 3 files in here from the strategy session. We can zoom in and see them right here. And if you want to, he could add more by simply clicking Add Files and selecting items from the picker here on the side. But also, at the same time, Jeff notices there's a suggestion here for him. What we've done here is we've noticed that Jeff's been working a lot with Sue. In this case, it's Sue Peabody. And there's 6 files that they've worked on and collaborated together. And we used over 8 different clustering algorithms to understand what files fit together and how, and automatically make those suggestions to you. And you can kind of see where this is going. We can start to help you curate your content so you can focus on the work that really matters to you, not on the overhead. So here I might select a file, add it to a workspace, or save it. But for now, I'm just going to create a new workspace. I want to create one about this account we were talking about, Outdoors. And what I want to show here is I typed in Outdoors, and we ran those same algorithms, and we quickly understand that, oh, the Outdoors account? Well, here's 6 files that you might want to add to this because they seem to make sense together. And I can select 1 or 2 of those and add them. And it's automatically made a workspace, and it's done something really special here. You can see it says Add Files. So based on the files that are in your workspaces, we've run additional machine learning algorithms to understand what other files are relevant that you might want to add, getting us a step closer to taking away that overhead that we all kind of suffer through. So maybe I want to add the event list. It gets added to this workspace here. Two pieces of data I want to share. One, on this card up here with the comments, when people use priority and they use these cards, on average, they respond to comments 10 minutes faster than they would otherwise. That's 10 minutes that's the difference between going to a meeting uninformed or informed. In workspaces, when on this Outdoors workspaces that I showed you here, the add files, people are adding files at 40% of the time already. Just launched, but we're already at a level where we can understand how your content fits together in a way that makes sense for you, that people are selecting to add files based on these suggestions 40% of the time. So, and then of course, there's always projects that come and go. You have the opportunity just to to hide a workspace so you can stay focused on what matters. And here you can see the hidden workspaces rest down here at the bottom, and you can always recover or reopen those, unhide. You can imagine over time with the projects that come and go throughout your quarters and years, how easy this makes it to organize your work in the way you think. So very excited to share this with you. We'll end the demo. All right. Can we go back to the slides? All right, we did it live. Great. Okay. So what have we heard today? We heard, I think, three powerful comments here. That we think there's a better way to work, and we think Drive can help you access that way to work. That's seamless interoperability, collaboration that's simple and secure, and lastly, and with priority here, we talked about how can we help you work smarter. So naturally, your next question is, well, how do I get this? I want this. How do I get it? Well, we want to highlight something that we've shared with you before, but really makes sense in this context, and that's Drive Enterprise. Drive Enterprise is a standalone offering that includes Drive, editors, identity, security, and admin. It packages it all of it up together so that you can work slightly differently. Your organization can hopefully work better. And what I want to note here is we talked earlier about this foundational issue, about a lot of the other tools out there might have been born and architected in the 90s for an on-prem environment. Drive is built from the ground up for the cloud. We saw that with Team Drives. We saw it with FileStream. All this designed in a way to optimize your greatest asset, your organization's knowledge and your time. So another thing I want to impart. So, okay, we have the package. You can get Drive Enterprise. You can start using it, but what's it going to cost you? Well, I'm excited to say, far and away, if you walk out of here thinking one thing, I want you to know this. It is the most affordable business model in the industry. Subtext by a long shot. Competitive products cost $20, $25, $30 for a comparable feature set. As you can see, $8. And it's not just $8, it's $8 per active user per month. And $1 for storage, 25 gigabytes of storage. So let's unpack that a little bit. When we say active user, that's really important here, because what happens today is that when you pay for unlimited, you overpay. You're paying for underutilized space. You're effectively paying for other people's storage at times. But with an active user consumption model, you only pay for what you use. So in reality, that $8 number is actually much, much less when it gets to your bill. So we started off with competitors, $20, $25, $30, starting point $8, but let's think about the factors that really go into what that turns into for bills for customers. So first of all, there's this, in most organizations, 30% of actual seats are never used, right? So that means in most situations, you commit to this contract, and you commit to the total number of seats that you have. Well, that doesn't always work out, because the watermark's really high. It's at the total number of employees you have. Yet not everybody uses those seat licenses. Well, we didn't think that was fair. We want to charge you for the value we create, and that's why we went to a model where you pay for only what you use. Second, another consideration. 50% of organizations actually have workforce fluctuations seasonally. Maybe it's retail, staff going up and down. Again, you commit to this contract with high watermarks, you pay for all that, regardless of whether or not you use it. Here with Drive Enterprise, you only pay for what you use. And now you're going, well, okay, that's great, but what about that bottom line, the $1 for 25 gigabytes of pooled storage? I'm going to need a lot of storage. Maybe, but most likely not. In most organizations, the average user only uses maybe 20 gigabytes of storage, right? That's 80 cents. We rounded up to 25, made it $1. You can understand why. It looks better on the slide. So that concern about storage is not necessarily built in reality all the time. In fact, at the 98th percentile, people use less than 200 gigabytes of storage. So this notion of unlimited, it really isn't, it's really for a small percent of people, maybe less than 1%, right? So this adds up easily to 75% savings over competitive products, right? You could also quickly jump to that it's actually an order of magnitude maybe against competitive products. And what I mean by that is we're just talking about the face level seat license cost. There's a variety of other factors. When you add it up and you do the math, it makes it even cheaper. 1, migration included for free with the product. No per seat cost. 2 years ago, we acquired AppRidge, leading migration firm in the industry. It's included in the seat license cost here. Second, support costs. By comparison, you might have high support costs, won't be paying those. The avoided or mitigated data breach risks, you can take that out of the equation. And then, of course, what we talked about the whole time, the increased productivity. When you add all of that up, we believe that 75% number is actually much higher. And to get into that range and say, compared to everybody else in the industry, we're 75, 85% cheaper, we're really proud of that, and we hope that you're really happy with it, because it means we now have a product that fits your needs and is extremely affordable. But you say, aha, one more thing. I already have the competitive product. I don't want double pay. Well, I agree. Nay, I say, don't double pay. If you have a competitive product, we want you to know that you may qualify for a promotion. And what we mean by that is you will get Drive Enterprise for free for the remaining duration of your existing enterprise agreement. So for example, if you have OneDrive, Dropbox, or Box, you have a year left on your EA, we will give you Drive Enterprise for free for that year to help you get started. Great. So hopefully everybody walks out of this room remembering, wow, Drive Enterprise, most affordable product in the industry, and how do I get started? cloud.google.com/drive-enterprise. You can sign up in the next 5 minutes and have your organization going. So that is a wrap.